everyone. Welcome back to Average Joe's Tech Reviews with your host, Joe, the average guy that hosts this show. So glad you're back. Hello, world. And if you like this video, please subscribe, push that like button. Let me know you're watching. If not, that's okay. I'm just glad to be here with y'all. This is a great day. So today we're going to be looking at some awesome tech that I personally use and am currently using right this moment for this show. And it is this. The Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro. Look at that beauty. She is lovely. Isn't she lovely? I know. Weird songs pop in my head all the time. So yeah, welcome to the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro. With this device, this is a video switcher that can be used for a lot of things, whether you're doing your own YouTube show, live streaming, conferences, and also because of my background, helping out, churches can use these. It is an extremely future-proof device, very easy to use, and it can get quite technical. I'm not kidding. This thing can get quite challenging as you try to figure things out, but also it can be extremely user-friendly. So let's dive into what is on this device. So let's go into looking at this device. What we have here is a device that has 4 HDMI inputs with that are for it. And what you can put in these is cameras, DVD players, other video out equipment, your laptop. Yeah, I mean, four inputs gives you a lot to work with, whatever you're wanting to do with it. You have over here 2 microphone inputs. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer for this one. Let's see. Come on. There we go. So over here we have mic 1 and mic 2, and in the back they just plug in with a standard little headphone jack microphone tip, and I'll bring it over here just like that. Boom, plug it in, and those mic inputs can bring the sound in for all the inputs, so they can be the overpowering input there. On this side over here, whoop, there we go. We have 1 HDMI output, which is actually, I have it currently running into input number 4. So there it is. That's what you see. And so normally, back to me, over here on this side of my table, I have a 27-inch LCD monitor that this thing will normally output to. And like you see, it has all the features in there, everything that's being looked at, all the different views from the computer to my 2 different cameras, and of course now the output. And that's there so you can kind of see what's going on and what's being put out. So if you make a mistake, you're like, oh, whoop, I meant to see that view instead. We also have a USB-C connection, and this has a 2-fold process. This can either connect to the computer, to which it will control it, which you can do more with the software, or like I'm doing now, it is currently using the USB to connect to an SSD, which I'll show you right here, which is right here. Whoop. And that is currently what's recording everything I'm doing right now. Everything that I'm outputting, which whatever camera is being seen, that's what is being recorded. And then it has the Ethernet cable. And this can help it to, number 1, stream. So if it's connected to a router that's connected to your internet, you can use the stream button, which is right here, to live stream whatever you're wanting to output directly to a singular source. Or it can be used to control the device as well. So that if you're using, like I am, the USB is currently being used by an SSD to record the output, then I'm going to want to use the Ethernet to control with software. So I can do either or. And so this device, let's zoom out and kind of take a little more hardy look at it. There you go. There's all our inputs and controls. So let's see what kind of controls we have on the device. So as I said before, we have the mic 1 and mic 2 inputs. As you can tell, I'm currently using mic number 2 because the on is currently set. It has on, off, and then the volume controls right there. Same with mic 1. I don't have anything plugged in, so it is currently off. Things you can run into here. Right now, I am running, let's look at me right here. Of course, I was supposed to be showing you that view, so I apologize. There you go. There's the on, off, and the volume controls. That's my fault. Sorry, everybody. Back to me. I am using from the Rodecaster Pro, the headphone out, and I'm running it with the Buzz Killer, and it's running all the way to right here in the back. And what I found interesting is the only thing first when I used this, I got a major buzz in the machine, and all I had to do was go in the software and change it to line in, and boom, it all went away. So like I said, these inputs right here are currently are the master. You can make it the master. I could turn it to off, like number 1, and you wouldn't hear a thing. Down here, we have our video controls, okay? There they are, the video controls. And these are the input controls. So let's hit input. We're already on number 2, which is what we're using. There's me, hi. There's number 3, which is the computer, and number 4, which is the current output of the device. Back to this. So we have the same 2 volume controls. We have here a mic on and off. And so what this controls on each input is the audio that is coming in from the HDMI cables that are connected. So number 2 here is being run by this camera right there, and that's a small Sony Handycam 1080p camera, and it has a built-in microphone. So I could hit number 1, and then we would be getting the audio. It would automatically pop on. We would get the audio from that camera. Same with input 1 for my this camera right here, which is my 4K Sony AX100, and that if we hit that on button, we would be getting the audio from that camera. But instead, we're using the main audio coming in from the board. So we just keep those off. Same thing for input number 3. That is the computer. So if I had set my laptop to do audio out through the HDMI, we could hit the on and get the audio from the computer. Or if it was a DVD player, things like that, or whatever we were running that was extra, some kind of video input that had sound, we could use that and push it and then play it, and you'd get the sound perfect as day. And if we were doing output number 4, which is currently right now the output of the device, it would actually be bringing in the audio of all the device, or would at least be doing the audio that is running, which is the same audio that you're hearing anyway. So who cares? And then we have still and black. We can do that, and that'll blank out whatever screen we're looking at. Over here, we have our fade to black and our auto, and this is the auto effects, which is when you switch views, it might change how it shifts things back and forth, how long the cut will last when we're cutting between, from 1 second, half a second, 1.5 to 2 full seconds. We have fade to black, and then over here we have video outs and all this stuff that I'm not really that technically minded to control. Up here is another fun little thing called the picture-in-picture mode, which comes in real handy when you're at church, conference, business, live stream, and basically if you turn it on, you can see the bottom right, bottom left. You can see it right there on the screen, and then I'll just hit it off. What's nice about that is if you're using, like, let's say you're a church, and let's say you have the worship team playing, you could have the worship team be the big picture and the bottom right be the words, or flip it. Have the big picture be your PowerPoint or whatever you're using for the words. Like I use Faith Life Proclaim. There's also, what is it, Pro Media or Pro Presenter or PowerPoint, and that can be the big one, and the worship team or even the pastor is the small right, or vice versa, whatever you want. It's kind of nice. Same with like Zoom meetings. You can set it up to where, you know, the big picture is maybe the thing you're trying to show them or draw or whatever, screen share, whatever it is. And the bottom picture can be you yapping away, so at least they see your face. So a lot of cool features on this device. We're going to back out the other camera so we can see the whole thing again when we look at it. But again, super small, very light, a lot of inputs, very versatile, and a lot of options on this. So, like I said, this thing can record to an SSD and or be controlled by USB, but I'm actually personally controlling it with an Ethernet direct right into my computer. Ethernet from this to Ethernet port in my laptop, and I can control it with the software. You can also control it from a distance, where if this thing was connected to a router, maybe let's say in a different room, and you're in a different room and you're helping someone do their production, and you can control everything from the laptop, sitting on the side, whatever, if you're that guy, or if you want to do it yourself. Or like for me, I have a humongous curved monitor screen that I use for gaming and work and video editing. And what's nice is this thing can kind of hide nice under the monitor. It's real small, doesn't get in the way. And I can be controlling it instead of having my hand over here pushing buttons where you see it happening. I can just be using my mouse clicking away on the software. So let's take a look at that software. All right, here we are at the ATEM mini setup. And as we can see here, we have the device, the picture of it right here. So whatever device you have connected, there are a few different versions of this device. Right here, this little symbol where my mouse is circling, we have what is the Ethernet connection symbol. And if you were connected by USB, it would be that weird Trifork symbol for USB connections, and it would be there as well. In here, we can see the ISP of it, how it's connected, and then whatever settings you want in there with the configure, also about your device, software versions, and manuals. Okay, This next little thing is the actual software to control it. So let's go ahead and click it. Boom. There she is, the ATEM Mini. We have our actual program selection here, which we can hit and it'll select. So boom, 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 boom. Back to the software. And then we have our preview, which if we were looking in the output, we could see different previews. Okay. We have our mix and our key one, our backgrounds, all kinds of fades, on air. Oh, it's just lots of tons of stuff. You know, just really fun. Over here on the bottom right, you can tell it's recording right down here. I'll show you these things in a moment, but over here we have our color generators upstream key. So with the upstream key, that is when you start dealing with lower thirds and text crawlers, things like that, logos, but it gets really technical. And if you're not sure what you're doing or you haven't done it right, it can really just not look good. And so for me, I have a license with Wirecast with Telestream. And what's nice is it has lower thirds and logo placements that you can put as overlays on your output when you're doing live streaming or even using it to record and just have those things on it and have fun. A lot easier. This one, you have to kind of understand the macros behind it and know what stuff to hit and when to pop it on. And unless you're really good like some of those guys on YouTube that are. I'm not. I'm just not that technically minded. It's a real challenge, and so I'd kind of say, you know what? Use something else like OBS or Wirecast that may have the abilities to throw that stuff on there without having to really dive into this software. But if you want to learn and you are more technically minded, then totally do it, because this thing, you can do a lot of macros with it, and if you know how to use macros, which I'm not that learned in, go ahead and do it, and you'll find a lot more experience here. And also it has the chroma for, you know, doing green screen stuff, and it can do that. We have our transitions. We have our downstream key. That's where we can pick our different media players to pop in pictures and things like that. And right here, if you see media player, this is where we can grab stuff. So if here we go down here to media, we actually can click and drag from our files, pictures, logos, whatever, and then go back over here to Switcher, and you can load in those stills and pop them up as like a screensaver, things like that. For our output, we have right here, it tells me a time code, and that's for, again, people that are really into that. Go ahead and use it. I just let it do whatever it does. You know, live stream. Here's that live stream function I was talking about. So this is where you would set it up with your Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Remember Periscope? It used to be a lot of fun, but they got rid of it. Restream and Vimeo. You can set it all up in here with your server, your key, your quality, and then you can either go on air here from the software, or like I said, from the device, you can just hit on air once it's set up, and it doesn't have to be connected to the computer by USB. Once this Ethernet is connected to a router that's got your internet, you can just hit on air and just go to town right away. It's kind of nice for that. But again, there's other ways to do it, like if you use OBS, things like that. A lot simpler, a lot easier. Back to the software. So we have the live stream. We have our recording. So here you can see it's recording to a device, which it labeled the ATEM, which I actually, when I reformatted my drive, I just labeled it ATEM SSD, but it'll be whatever you call it. Now you may see it says drive 2. What that is because there's a larger, newer version of this. This is the ATEM Mini Pro, only has 4 inputs. There's the ATEM Mini Pro Extreme. And so it's a little bit larger. It has 8 HDMI inputs, but it has 2 USB outs. So you can actually connect 2 SSD drives. So you have redundant recording and all that fun stuff. And the other version of this one at this size and that larger one is what they call the ATEM Mini Pro or the ATEM Mini Pro Extreme ISO. And the big difference is that with this one, recording out to my SSD, it'll record it as one MP4, however it's being seen. So whatever I'm putting out, whether it's camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, camera back to me, that's how I'm switching that, is how it's going to show in that file. Now, here's the thing. The ISO is then it records everything simultaneously all at once as separate files. So you'll get a file that's like this one that I'll be editing later in Premiere Pro that will then be the video you're seeing now. Or it'll record out, like with this one, since it has 4 inputs, it'll record 4 separate files at the same time. This way, for any time, like let's say I had the ISO and let's say I flubbed a transition, was like, oh wait, you're looking at my hand, you should be looking at me. Or like earlier in this video, because I don't have the ISO, you were looking at me when I was like pointing at this thing thinking you were looking from this camera here. Oh well, if I had the ISO, I would have those files differently, and I can make that whole flub just completely disappear and just replace it with that proper switching of the cameras. And again, because it's doing the audio across all of the inputs, we're good to go. It'll be awesome. And I think it does the audio files separately as well, so you can just match up your audio files and everything will go well. So yeah, different versions. So back to software. So we have that, and then we have video capture using the other Blackmagic devices with their Ultra Studio or Deckley card, which I do not have. Okay, so now we have the audio functions here. You can see here, there's all the inputs from your cameras and your mic. As you can tell, I have the mic 2 already plugged in. And look, there I am. Hello, this is the audio. And you can play with it, setting it up however you want right here in the software. So, pretty good. And then you have your camera inputs, and you can change their their coloring and stuff like that, gradients, all that fun stuff. Really lots of fun. And then here you have your audio, your multi-view, your labels. So with the multi-view, you can actually set that up to what that would look like. You know, so for now it has camera. You have your preview, your program, all your cameras, and then it has the record status, stream status, and all this other fun stuff. You have your labels, and if you have a hyperdeck, you can and then remote control it. So that is that. So there's a lot to this little device. It is small and it is powerful. I like to call it, which I do with this, since my background is helping churches out and helping them with this. So when the Rona hit, I helped them find this device with a simple camera that has an HDMI out so they wouldn't have to break the bank. This device costs about $470 something right now, like on Amazon, and a small little HDMI out 1080p camera is about what, $300. So you're talking about $700 for the whole deal, and get yourself the cable you need and you're good to go. And like I said, you can run audio straight from your audio board or even from your camera if you want. Like with my big one right here that's in front of me, it's a 4K camera. It's actually outputting at 4K, but this thing picks it up, transcodes it down to 1080p. So that's the nice thing. Again, super powerful. You could have a lower than 1080p camera running into here, higher than 1080p running into here. This thing takes it and transcodes it automatically to 1080p to the output, and off it's going. So your file will be an MP4 with 1080p quality, which I think is amazing. So again, I call it future-proof because a lot of times with smaller churches, they don't have big budgets and they're new to the whole streaming thing. A lot of them had to buy a small, simple camera like this one here, like this one. Hey there. They got themselves a simple camera at this device, but now they're getting to the point where maybe they're getting that second camera. They're pumping in their PowerPoint, whatever they're using, into one of the inputs, and there's room for growth in this device. It's extremely powerful. And like I showed you in the software, there's a lot you can do to this device and for this device and with this device that are just even beyond my technical abilities, because I don't know macros very well. I don't know the intricate things of this software to make this thing explode. Like I watched some of the YouTube videos and these guys are just rocking it. I mean, the stuff they're doing with the macros, like I sit back and I go, yeah, I'm just not there yet. I am totally not there. But that's okay, because you don't need to be an advanced degree holding video operating guy to run this device. All you need, like, I'll be honest, most of the churches I helped out, their volunteers are usually much older people who don't have the experience with technology. And they have maybe 20 minutes of training them where they just took down a few notes where I told them, okay, this is what happens when it turns on. Because trust me, when it turns on, it's all the same values. Like everything that's on here, that's all lit up, is everything that was set up before I turned it off. And when I unplugged it, when I plugged it back in, it turns on instantly. No booting time, none of that stuff going on. And if you have macros set up, it'll automatically be saved in here when you activate it, and then you don't have to run this thing on the computer all the time when you're using it. You don't have to. So with them, they didn't have it running on the computer. The only computer that's plugged into this thing is they're running the HDMI cable from their computer to run their PowerPoint, their words, or their sermon notes and things like that. And so it took maybe 20 minutes to train someone. And even then, maybe from a church or two, I maybe got a phone call a week later just, hey, how'd you do this again? Or because their OBS didn't save, because they updated it and the OBS didn't save their Facebook stream key. And so I helped them reset that up. Again, extremely user-friendly for the basic functions of this video switcher. And also, here's the beautiful thing: when you use the USB-C, plugging it into your computer detects it as a USB camera. No drivers needed, no special software. And you don't even need the software. You don't need this ATEM software, this Blackmagic software. If that software wasn't on this computer and I just had OBS open, I could plug this in and I could be up and running in a few minutes. Because the OBS and Zoom and Wirecast, like I have a software for, those things will detect it as a USB camera, and there's no setup needed. Just detects it. All you need to do is make sure your camera's plugged in there, and you're good to go, and you're off and running to the races for your live stream or whatever you want to do. So, like I said, extremely plug and play, extremely user-friendly. But here's the question. Is it for you? Is this something you should get? Well, like I say in most videos, if you're like me and you do help out, or you do things, or you're doing your own YouTube channel, or you're helping out local organizations that could use something like this, then it's totally worthwhile. This thing, like I said, is future-proof. You don't need to go out. You don't need to worry about, especially with this plug and play, this USB plug and play. This is, I mean, for a long time, because of the way I had set up my office and we were doing our podcast, I was using my 4K camera as our webcam. Because it was aimed in certain angles for us to talk, and then I had it just set up near my computer that when I was doing Zoom meetings, I just turn on the camera. Just already running, why not use it? Because it's that easy to use. So here's my recommendation. If you find yourself in a position of being able to help organizations, companies, or you're doing your own YouTube channel, whatever it is, this device is future-proof. This device is ready to go right out of the box. Comes with a simple plug it in, powers on, plug that USB, and it comes with the USB-C cable, so pop in your computer, and if you don't have a USB-C port in your computer, then just go on Amazon and buy yourself a USB-C to USB 2.0, 3.0 connector, and works just fine. And it's that easy. And so the price, I think, is pretty decent. $470 something for this thing to get it. And have it for an extreme, like I've had this device for a couple of years now. I think we're going on 3 years I've had this device. I had the original one now, and I've had this Mini Pro now for a couple of years, and I'm pretty happy with it, and I've had no reason to upgrade it. I think if I was doing more in the realm of editing things more properly and putting together a really cool YouTube video, then maybe I would want the ISO version of this device, just so I could have all four inputs being recorded on the separate files. But beyond that, I haven't had that need right now, and even for the past few years. And so I recommend this device if you're a small church, a small organization, or a YouTuber that's just getting started or doing podcasts and you want to have video of those podcasts, then this is what you want to use. This device is amazing, and the price is just right. And especially if you're just starting out, like you're talking well under $1,000 for everything to run your setup. And so I highly recommend this device. It has been a real godsend for me to do the stuff that I do, especially doing this right now, and to do the things I've done in the past and probably the things I'll do in the future. This is the device to use. It's been a blast to use. And like I said, you can dive deeper and get more technical with this, but you don't have to. You don't. You can set this up and just start running right away. But like I said, if you want to figure things out or learn how to use these pictures, because in the software you can actually program what is in the small picture and what is in the big picture. I think right now, if we look at the software, let's see if I can find it. So in the switcher, let's see, is it the media player? No. Is it the palettes? I think this downstream key is what controls. I could be wrong. I don't remember. I might have to play with this without you seeing it live happen. But if I remember correctly, the downstream key, your fill source and your key source, those are going to be what is in the big screen and what is in the little screen. I may be wrong, but I usually am half the time. I can't remember off the top of my head, because there's also, and it may be this one. Let's check this out. So here in upstream key, there's the DVE settings. Okay. And then you have the fill source. So let's have fun. Bottom right, maybe let's make that camera 1, we'll say. So I have no idea. Maybe you're seeing me right now on the bottom right. I won't know until I edit this video. So this is fun. I have no script. I'm just having the time of life. But if you see here on, let's go back to, well, you're seeing me in the bottom corner. So if I'm correct, you should still be seeing this as the big screen. But you see this position, X, Y, and size, I believe that should be changing the position and the size of the square. So it can be bigger, smaller, and you can move it around wherever you want on the screen. But of course, I could be totally wrong. So that's the fun I'm going to have with this video. I'm not even going to put in his text that says he was wrong. I'm just going to have fun. So if you want to learn more about this product, I'll have links in the description below. And I'm sorry I didn't say that in the last episode, but obviously if you're smart enough, you scroll down, you look, you see I have links. But I'll have links below to the website, to the ATEM Mini Pro, and where you can look it up and how you can find it. And I may try to pop in the Amazon link to where you can purchase it. I normally use Amazon for most of my electronics purchases. I do not believe this is on Sweetwater, but I think you can find this on B&H and Adorama and places like that. If you're into photography and video, those are places you can get devices like this. So thanks for hanging out with me today. This has been a much longer video, but again, this is a much more intricate device to look at. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And again, if you buy this, it's a great product. If you don't need it, then you don't need it. But either way, I hope you have a great day. This is Average Joe signing off. Peace out.